What's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTWBRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We are playing as the WWF in the year 2001, but more importantly, we are booking the Invasion angle. I'm actually really excited about this Raw. I'm very happy with how it turned out. But before we can get the booking this Monday Night Raw, by the way, this is the first Raw of the new month. We're in July now, booking towards Invasion. But either way, before we can get to Monday Night Raw, we got a few locker room incidents. One of them actually negative, finally. So Bradshaw, he failed to show up to a scheduled road agent meeting. Now, it was Bradshaw's first offense, and I really, it's a road. It's okay, you miss one meeting. I'm going to give you a little bit of a slap on the wrist. You start going on a little bit more, you get a stern warning, might even fine you. So I gave Bradshaw a slap on the wrist. It was his first offense, right? His personality got worse. He practically told me to fuck off. So fuck you, Bradshaw. Also, we had Vince McMahon, us of course, passing along tips on the microphone skills to both Shane and Stephanie McMahon, our proteges, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the WWF World Champion, passing along psychology tips to his protege, Rhino. But now that we've got that out of the way, let's just go ahead and run the show, nerds and geeks. We have a total of We have a total of 2 pre-show matches tonight. Our first pre-show match is a 6-man tag match. In a decent pre-show match, Bradshaw and the Hardy Boys defeating Ron Simmons and Kanyon and Hugh Morris. When Bradshaw defeated Hugh Morris with the clothesline from hell, we got a C+ from this match. Kanyon sustained extreme bedhead. The hell is that? I don't even... Okay, I'm assuming that's not a serious injury, so whatever. Hugh Morris was off his game, unfortunately. Hugh had an in-ring performance of a C. Kanyon was at a B-. Ron Simmons at a C+. Matt at a B-. And Jeff and Bradshaw with the strongest performance of the night, or in the match, I should say, with a B, or both at Bs. And also, Kanyon is improving in performance. Also, Kanyon sustained extreme bedhead, as we said. Jeff Hardy apparently got some heat for giving Kanyon bedhead. What? Whatever. And then we go on to our main event of the pre-show. Believe it or not, The Rock is in the main event of the pre-show. In a superb pre-show match, Chris Benoit and Diamond Dallas Page representing WCW defeating The Rock and his cousin Rikishi. I did it for The Rock. Team WWF in 12 minutes and 55 seconds when DDP defeated Rikishi with a diamond cutter. So the way I'd imagine this happening is Rock was distracted by Ric Flair, who is Chris Benoit's Chris Benoit's mentor and manager. Rock was distracted. DDP gets the diamond cutter in on Rikishi. 1, 2, 3. They win the match. We got a B rating here. Rikishi was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. He had a quality of a C, while Rock was at an A star, DDP at a B, and Benoit at an A. Rikishi is also improving in Rumble. So we move on to the start of the show. We open up with a B+. Monday Night Raw starts off with Commissioner Foley. Excuse me if I spelled those words wrong. No one correct me on them. I didn't look up, and I didn't care enough to look them up. Commissioner Foley, he's in the middle of the ring. He's pacing back and forth. He welcomes the crowd to Monday Night Raw, and then he says, I apologize that I'm not in my normally cheerful mood, but in case you missed SmackDown last week, let me just show you what happened. We then have a video just recapping, showing what happened with Shane McMahon taking over WCW by having Regal apparently under his wing the whole time, or under his thumb, I guess. I don't know if that's the word. Whatever, who cares? Anyway, we see the video recapping what happened on SmackDown, and then Foley says, I was played! The WWF was played. It would appear that there was more than one traitor in the ranks, and now, who knows how many more there are. Our owner, Vince McMahon, may not be the greatest man on this earth, this planet, but damn it, he cares. If he didn't, there wouldn't be a WWF. But last week, Shane, WCW, went too far. And no, Mr. McMahon is not here. He is at home with a broken jaw, thanks to one person, the new commissioner of Thursday Night SmackDown, and the newest traitor in the WWF ranks, William Regal. Mr. Regal, I'm calling you out. Get your ass out here. After a while, we finally hear Regal's music hits, and he stands at the entryway once he's out there. Right, is this anything in it? Sweet. I had to take a drink. My mouth was a little parched. Regal then says, "You have to pardon me for taking so long to get out here. Apparently, you did not get the memo, Mick." Oh, we have to open up our notebook here. Notebook. Some Blue's Clues shit going on here. Pull out promo 1. Don't get promo 2 in there. So Regal says, "Apparently you didn't get the memo, Mick. I no longer go by the name William. You see, William was a name that Vince McMahon bestowed upon me to make me sound more British. Because apparently the name my British mother gave me wasn't British enough for him. No, you see, Foley, I now go by my birth-given name, and you will refer to me now as Lord Steven Regal. And as for what happened on SmackDown, don't you just love when a well, long, thought-out plan goes perfectly? It fooled you, didn't it, Mick? Then again, that's not so hard. For months, I stood by that egotistical bastard's side, listening to him brag and complain and boss people around for months. I waited for the perfect opportunity for the family man to finally miss his kids. And then I took my opportunity. And now not only am I the commissioner of SmackDown, but I'm soon to be the commissioner of WCW." And then Foley says, "Oh, is that right? Well, until then, Mr. Regal, may I remind you that you're still a contracted... Where was I? You're still a contracted active competitor here in the WWF. And I just thought it would be a great idea if you had a match tonight. I don't know who your opponent is yet, but I'm sure you will know by at least the end of the night. And since this isn't SmackDown and this is Raw, which is my show, you can leave now, Regal. Oh, and, Will, have a nice day." And then Foley's music hits, and the announcers put over that later on tonight we will see the formerly known William Regal, now known as Lord Steven Regal, in action tonight. The angle got the show off to a strong start, also got the crowd hotter, and it advanced the Regal-Foley rivalry. We then move on, coming back from commercial break, to a B-. That's actually pretty good for a Lance Storm segment. We got a B-. Lance Storm, he's standing in the middle of the ring. He's holding the Canadian flag proudly. He has a mic in his hand. He's being showered by boos. And Storm says, "If I can be serious for a moment, if you people would quiet down, I have something I want to say." "Fine, then I'll just talk over you." And he proceeds to start talking over the fans while they're booing. Eventually, I'd imagine them shutting up. And he says, "Despite Lord Regal becoming the new SmackDown commissioner, I assure you that even I was fooled. And even I thought I was defending my title against Vince McMahon's right-hand man. And I hope, Lord Regal, that you were still giving it your all in that match. Because I take great pride in my country. Which is why, from now on, only the greatest superstars can challenge for my Canadian championship. Which means that only superstars of Canadian heritage can challenge for my Canadian championship, because only great superstars come from Canada, which is why tonight I thought someone was about to open my door. I was about to be pissed in the middle of my recording. You better get the fuck out. I welcome an open challenge to one of my brothers that hail from the great country that is known as Canada." That is when Edge's music hits and he takes the mic as he makes his way down to the ring, and he says, "You know, Storm, look, man, I think it's cool and all that you've got pride in Canada, but let's not forget the greats that have come before us that aren't even from Canada. I won't bother naming some, but I'm sure you've met a couple back in WCW. Who probably didn't talk to you much because, let's be honest, you're kind of boring. Plus, they were probably too busy stealing your spot away anyway." And then Lance Storm replies, "Edge, shut up. I'm not here for amateur hour. You're obviously out here for a reason." And that's when Edge replies, "Well, you're not wrong, but there's that seriousness I'm talking about again. Look, you gotta learn to have some fun. And you know what? I say, since I'm from Canada and you've got this whole open challenge thing going on, why don't you and I have some fun?" And then Edge swings, hits Lance Storm, he connects, taking Lance Storm down. revealing that, yes, Edge is accepting Lance Storm's open challenge, and we are going to have that match next. Christian wasn't supposed to be here. I forgot I made Christian his manager. Let's pretend Christian's not here for this. Until halfway through the last match, I guess, but whatever. Christian helped him in this match, or this segment, I should say, so whatever. And it did get the crowd hotter, so we have that. No worker improvements, though. So we move on to said match. We get a B rating and a decent match. Lance Storm defeating Edge in 8 minutes and 10 seconds with a last call super kick after distraction from Christian. He makes his 4th defense of the WCW Canadian Championship. So pretty much the way I'd imagine this happening is towards the end of the match, Edge is getting ready for, maybe for a spear or something. Christian starts shouting his name, saying, Edge, Edge, and Edge finally looks over, and Christian goes to he tosses the Canadian Championship at him. Edge then tosses it to the ground, saying, I'm not going to win like that. Turns around, gets the last call super kick. Lance Storm pins him. 1, 2, 3. Lance Storm wins. Announcing quality lift of the match. Unfortunately, Christian's still not suited for his gimmick. I'm not able to change that yet because it's too soon. Both Lance Storm and Edge had an in-ring performance of a B-, so in general, this was a really good match. Or I said it's a decent match, not a really good match. Excuse me. Moving on to the next segment, we have a B+ rating. We cut to the backstage and we see Commissioner Foley, Mick Foley, in his office. This time it's in a boiler room because he's angry. If you guys remember back in the day when he was commissioner, how did he perform poorly? Wasn't he off screen? Actually, he must be on screen because it's right here, so I must have messed up. Either way, back in the day, Mick Foley, when he was commissioner, he used to always have his office in random spots of the arena. He never actually had an office. So this time, me and Chris, my buddy who helps me book Monday Night Raw, thought it would be cool to have him in the boiler room since he's not in a good mood, and that's kind of like his home turf. So he's pacing back and forth in his office. He's muttering to himself when he hears someone knock on the door, and he screams, "Who is it?" And then in walks Chris Jericho. Jericho's like, "It's just me, Mick. It's just Jericho." Then Foley says, "I'm sorry, Chris. I'm so on the edge after what happened on SmackDown." And Jericho says, "I don't blame you, Mick. I mean, this WCW invasion is just so stupid. But I heard you need an opponent for Lord Look Mommy. I'm British now, Regal. And given our past and how I'd never trusted the jackass, I'm volunteering for the spot." And then Mick just strokes his beard. He smiles and he says, "You know what, Jericho? You're the exact person that should face William or Lord Regal tonight. I mean, you were right about him all along." And I'd imagine Jericho, just pretty much saying, "Thanks, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Shake hands, and we have our match tonight." Regal wasn't supposed to be on camera, but I think I accidentally did, so my bad. He is developing better performance skills, so I guess he got that out. But we move on to the announcers just putting over that indeed we will see Jericho take on Lord Steven Regal in our main event tonight. We don't need that because that's happening. We then go to a B rating where it just shows, I'm going to sneeze, so let me mute my mic real quick. Phew! Alright, got that out of the way. We then go to a B-rated angle where we just see The Undertaker and Kane making their way towards the ring as the commentary table just talks about how they have something on their mind, and we're going to find out what that is coming up next. We then come back from our commercial break with the Brothers of Destruction back in the ring. Undertaker takes the mic. By the way, we got a B+ rating here. And The Undertaker takes the mic and he says, "This is my yard. Now, why on earth someone would want to ever cross into my yard without my permission is unknown to me. But it seems to keep happening over and over again. But instead of getting a bigger fence, I just beat the bloody pulp out of them. You see, I may not have mascara under my eyes anymore, and I might not bury people 6 feet underground, but I still like to." I swear, people are like, I feel like someone's knocking on my door or something. But I still like to use my 2 hands to beat the living hell out of some people. Now, last week, my brother and I faced off against 2 guys who have earned our respect, just for a match to be cut short by 2 guys who could never earn our respect. But you know what? You do have our attention. So Sean O'Hare, Chuck Palumbo, tonight you're in luck. Because I've opened up the gates to my yard and you 2 are more than welcome to join. Hell, I'll even give you what you want." He then lays one of the tag team titles on the mat. Kane then follows and lays his title on the mat. Then Taker says, "So how about I make you famous?" We then have the Natural Born Thrillers music hits. Stacy comes out and she takes the mic. She's got a big smile on her face and she says, "Oh, Undertaker, you've got no idea what you've just gotten yourself into. You're on." And we have our impromptu tag team match. The performance of Taker was fantastic. Kane came across well. Unfortunately, Stacy was underwhelming, but she's compared against these guys, so I can understand that. So we then go on to our match, which gets a B. That's pretty good. B rating for injury from Sean O'Haire as well. I'm not mad about that. You get a B rating and a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. The Brothers of Destruction defeated the Natural Born Thrillers in 7 minutes and 47 seconds when Chuck Palumbo got intentionally disqualified when fighting Kane. And the Brothers of Destruction make their third defense of the tag team titles. So pretty much what I imagine happening here is the Thrillers see the writing on the wall. They see they're not really going to win this match, and they're just trying to make an impact, if anything, and maybe even weaken the Brothers of Destruction, anger them more, and get a title shot in the future. So Chuck Palumbo intentionally gets disqualified by whacking Kane with a steel chair. This leads the Undertaker to get in the ring, but Palumbo connects with the chair to his gut, hits him in the back. Sean O'Haire comes into the chair, and the two, Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo start beating down on Kane and Taker with steel chairs after the match. So Sean O'Haire was slowed by his injury, unfortunately. The match suffered because there wasn't enough selling shown. That sucks. Kane had an in-ring performance of an A, Taker at an A star, Sean O'Haire at a C+, and Chuck Palumbo at a B-. Kane is also improving in performance. So we move on to our next segment, which gets a B+. The Natural Born Thrillers, they continue their beatdown on the Brothers Destruction with steel chairs until we have Test and Albert race out to the ring and chase them off. I'd imagine Sean O'Haire and them getting out of the ring in time, with TNA just sitting there pretty much begging them to get back in the ring, like, come on, fight us, blah, 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 blah. And that's pretty much the angle. You get a B+ there. Taker came out looking excellent, even though he was just getting beaten down. Probably should have based the guys on selling. That's a new thing here in Total Extreme Wrestling 2016, where you can rate people on selling. I should start trying to remember that one. Kane was fantastic. Albert was underwhelming. Stacy Keibler was good, but that's just mostly because they were raised on sex appeal. And I did went ahead and raise Test his face performance. Him and Albert are both about at an average. I think Albert was already above average, but Test is average. So they hinted at their face turn, but it didn't happen. Just not yet, at least. No worker improvements, though. Moving on to our next segment. Yeah, we don't want to do it just yet. Oh, wow, this did. With Michael Cole, Stone Cold just carries these segments. We then go to an A rating. Stone Cold Steve Austin pulls up into the parking lot with his monster truck, or in his monster truck, I should say, not chocolate. Don't know how I even said that. He opens the door and he peers his head out looking around. He says, "The hell?" He then sees Cole. He says, "Cole, get your ass over here." Cole then runs over and he says, "What can I do for you, Austin?" And then Austin replies, "That's Sir Stone Cold Steve Austin, the great to you, Cole." I'm not doing a good Austin today. Let me see if a drink will help. He then goes on and saying, "Where the hell is my security team? I ordered. Triple H walking around like a caveman, swinging sledgehammer around like it's a damn club." Then Cole says, "I don't know, Stone Cold." And then Austin says, "Hey, what did I say to you? It's Sir Stone. Don't eyeball me." "You know what, Cole? I ain't waiting. So tonight, you're my security team. Escorted me to my locker room." And then Cole says, "But what about Triple H?" Then Austin says, "The hell you mean, what about Triple H? You're going to take the fall. That's your damn job. Now let's go." And the segment ends with just Austin kind of like pushing Cole forward as they walk forward. Of course, Austin came out fantastic. Cole did not come out looking good, but no problem. Move on to our next segment. Wow, we get an A rating here as well. That's awesome. Get an A rating. We see the Brothers of Destruction. They're icing their necks, their back. They're hurt. We hear a knock on the door, and we hear it's the person knocking on the door saying, "It's Test and Albert. Can we come in?" Taker then says, "Come on in." Test walks in, and he says, "We just wanted to come and check on you guys and see how you're doing." Taker just replies saying, "Nothing but a couple bumps and bruises." And then Test says, "Good, because we want you guys at 100% the next time we face off. But before we can do that, Albert and I, with all due respect, need to take care of the Thrillers. Look, I know they just beat you two down, but they took our title shot away from us. So you know what, you two just worry about us, because once we end those wannabes, we're coming for you next." And then they just kind of walk out while Taker and Kane just kind of sit there shaking their heads. Unfortunately, Test did underperform, but Taker and Kane helped out a little bit. And we can go ahead and handle our changes now, I think. So let's hope these go pretty well. Turn went pretty well for Test. And it went pretty well for Albert. So TNA's turns, I'd consider a success. Moving on to our next segment, we go to a B+. Mick Foley's back in his office. When we hear a knock on the door, he gets excited and he goes, "Ooh, my pizza's here." He then opens the door and he sees Kurt Angle with a big smile on his face, and Angle says, "Hi, Mick." Foley, of course, disappointed. He goes, "You're not the pizza guy." And then Kurt says, "Even better, I'm Kurt freaking Angle." And Foley goes, "Well, for one, that's not better than pizza. And two, Kurt, you're the last person I want to see." Then Angle says, "Well, lucky for you, I'll be out of your hair quick. I just want to talk to Mr. McMahon, that's all. Do you know where he is?" And Foley says, "Did you not hear? Mr. McMahon is at home nursing a broken jaw, courtesy of Lord Regal. But trust me when I say Mr. McMahon doesn't want to see you either. I don't think you get it, Kurt. You turned your back on us." Then Angle says, "And now I'm trying to make it up to you guys. In fact, I heard you need an opponent for Regal tonight. Why not have me fight him?" And then Foley says, "I guess you missed the first half of the show considering you didn't know Mr. McMahon was at home. And you also don't know that I found an opponent for Regal a while ago. But you know what, Kurt? I do have an opponent for you. Your match is next, so why don't you just go out there and they'll meet you out there." So Kurt moves on to walk out, and we have we have a match coming up next for Kurt Angle. We get a B+ from the two here. Nothing too special. Moving on to our next match, and Kurt Angle's opponent is revealed to be The Big Show. So we had a good match. Big Show defeating Kurt by pinfall with the chokeslam. Got a rating of a B. Big Show has had a B rating in the in-ring performance, and Kurt had a B+. Kurt's also improving in performance. Moving on to our next segment, we get a C rating here. Unfortunately, this did lose our feud between Storm, Edge, and Christian some heat. And Edge says, "The hell happened out there, man? I had Lance Storm beat." Christian then replies, "Well, excuse me for trying to help. You should have just taken the damn title." And Edge said, "I don't need the title to win, just like I don't need your help out there to win either." He then walks off, and Christian says, "You know what? You team with the Dudleys one time. One time!" And he just, goes to follow off after him. So the further, dissension of the two brothers here right now. We move on to another segment. We get an A rating here. Stone Cold, he has Cole by the back of the shirt. He just keeps yelling, "March, march, march." And then he sees Rhino, and then he screams, "Stop!" "Well, well, well. It isn't Rhino. Stone Cold was hoping he'd see you tonight. Here you are." And Rhino goes, "Here I am." And Austin then replies, Don't get mouthy with me, boy. I got an offer for you." Rhino says, "What? You gonna give me another world title shot? Because that's what I really want." And Austin laughs, "No, I ain't giving you no damn title shot. That was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and Triple H ruined it for you. But that's why I'm here. You know what's better than a world title shot?" "What?" "Being mentored by the world champion. I saw how you stood up to Triple H, and I'll be honest. I think if he didn't have that sledgehammer, you could take him. So why not become my protege?" Rhino then he sits there and he thinks for a bit. He smiles. He extends his hand. He says, "You know what, Austin? You've got a deal." Austin smiles and shakes Rhino's head. And he says, "Cole, you can leave now." So Stone Cold was the real star, but the main segment here is the fact that now Stone Cold has taken Rhino, his real-life protege, under his wing as his wing? No, that's what I meant to say, not ring. I don't know why I thought I was supposed to say ring. He's also taken him under his wing as his protege on TV as well. So I think I said I was going to do that, but either way, Rhino is developing better performance skills as well. So we move on to our main event of the night, and unfortunately, I really got to figure out when I can book these technical matches. It's still not that bad. It's a B-, so you can't complain too much, but a B- with Chris Jericho in there, it could have been better, and it would have been better if I didn't make this a technical match. By the way, I forgot to announce this earlier, but the tag team title match between the Brothers Destruction and Thrillers was our Wild Brawl match of the night, and Kurt Angle versus Big Show was our storytelling match of the night, which this one honestly should have been, but I figured, why not try to make it a technical match, because Jericho and Regal could pull it off, but it never works out. I don't know how to book these technical matches, nerds and geeks. Either way, in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Chris Jericho defeating Lord Steven Regal. I didn't mean for it to be by submission. It should have just been by pinfall. By pinfall when Booker T fucked up. So basically the way I'd imagine this match happening is towards the end, the referee's a little distracted or something, and Jericho is close to the ropes, and Booker, I don't know. So basically what happens, I'd imagine somehow Booker T goes to, referee's down. Let's say that's happened. Referee was down, Jericho ducked, and he got hit with the power of the punch. Referee's down, Booker T gets in the ring, goes to hit Jericho with the World Championship. Jericho ducks, he knocks Regal out. Jericho then, I'd imagine, he can't hit a code breaker because that hasn't been invented yet, but I guess maybe he takes him out somehow. I don't know. Takes him out. The referee races down to the ring after Jericho covers Regal for a bit, and it's still enough for the 3 count, and Jericho gets to win. So Booker T was also on commentary for this match as well, but as I said, a technical match wasn't the right thing to be feeding a rowdy crowd. The only thing is I don't know how to tell if they're rowdy. It doesn't really say that, so I don't really know how to book these technical matches, and honestly, I'm probably just going to stop booking them since it never seems to be right. Either way, though, Jericho had an in-ring performance of a B, Regal had an in-ring performance of a B-, and the Jericho Booker T storyline advances, and Regal's improving in performance, so that's a plus as well. After the match, though, Booker T jumps Jericho from behind, beating him down, and then we have Lord Steven Regal. He jumps in and he starts beating down on Jericho as well. After he gets up, the two of them are just beating down on Chris Jericho until Kurt Angle's music hits and he races down to the ring with a steel chair, chases off WCW. He then helps Jericho up. When Jericho realizes it's Kurt, he pushes him off him, calls him a jackass, and then walks away as Kurt just kind of stands there in the middle of the ring, and we cut to the backstage area pretty much. Got the crowd hotter, which is kind of funny. Performance of Booker T was good. Unfortunately, Regal was underwhelming, and Jericho was good. It also advanced and gained some heat for the Jericho Booker T storyline. And then we end off the night with an angle, get a B+ rating here. Austin and Rhino, they're making their way towards the parking lot, and Austin says, "You know, Rhino, I've got the feeling that this is the beginning of something beautiful. Now pack our bags in the back of the truck, I'll warm it up." So Rhino goes to pack the bags in. Austin then walks towards the front, but he gets attacked by Triple H, who starts talking crap to Austin while beating him up. Austin then starts to point behind Triple H, and Triple H says, "What?" And then he turns around, he gets gored by Rhino. Rhino takes Triple H, he then helps Austin up, and Austin smiles and saying, "Now that's what I'm talking about. Beers are on me tonight." And then they just get in the car and drive off with a beautiful friendship as Triple H just lays there holding his gut after being gored by Rhino. Did get the crowd hotter, but it's the ending segment too. Austin came out looking excellent, and the performance of Triple H was fantastic. No worker improvements though. We end the show. They get a B+ for the rating. Not the best Raw in the world, but honestly, B+ is just one grade below A, so still a good show. Increasing our popularity in 15 regions as well. The total package. Lex Luger will not join this war, most likely. We did get the top rating, but as I said, Canyon's out with bedhead. Extreme bedhead. What the hell does that even mean? Some goofy stuff. Daniel Bryan, or should I say Bryan Danielson's going to be touring with Noah. Alright, so we have Canyon is injured. How long is Canyon even out for? Does it show me on here? No, it doesn't. It just shows, it affects his whole body. I wonder if that's a real thing. Ooh, Stone Cold ripping on Lance Storm. I'm sorry, I disagree, Stone Cold. He seems to be getting over it. He says Lance Storm doesn't connect with the fans, in my opinion. He has little upside. It's the first one I've actually kind of disagreed with, and that was Stone Cold that said that. I might be able to, should be taking that into consideration, shouldn't I? As I talked about a little bit before, I don't know how long we've been running this episode, but just a little longer won't hurt. Our contracts with both DirecTV and Cablevision is coming up. DirecTV does not want to negotiate with us anymore, and I think the same thing with Cablevision, or maybe I just didn't want to negotiate with them, who knows. But I do have some doesn't show me. Oh, wait, I think they've already been agreed upon. That's why. So if we go to our broadcasting, so Cablevision and DirecTV, like I said, we're going to be losing them. But we now have J Sports, which covers Japan, Sonata Sports, which covers USA, Canada, Europe. So, all those people. And they've got, they're pretty big everywhere. Foxtel, which covers Australia. And then we have MBS Multivision, which covers Mexico. And then for our TV shows, we have MTV for Heat, Sky Sports in the British Isles for Raw, SmackDown, and Heat. We have TNN for Raw's War, UPN for SmackDown right now, Foxtel Australia for Raw, SmackDown, and Heat. So we should try to see if we can get some like Japanese and stuff. Let's try to do that real quick. So we'll negotiate coverage in. We have no coverage in Mexico, so commercial. Yeah, we don't have any coverage in Mexico. In fact, I'm gonna probably actually no, we do have coverage in Mexico. UPN, but we only have SmackDown. We don't have Raw. We need to get Raw in there, at least Raw. I'll do this off screen because this is probably gonna take a little while. Other than that, though, I want to check the storyline, see how they're all doing. So far, everything looking good. All right, Nerds and Geeks, I think that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, my name is Vin OMG, WTF, LOL, TWBRB. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to share this video with friends, Facebook, and Twitter. But until then, I will see you guys next time.